Okay, I've got it dug all the way. I found another dripper over there, dug that out. Got this all kind of ready. And this pipe has been underneath the ground for 24 years or so. And so I was going to try to cut it with my 10 snips, and sometimes you can do that if this is more pliable, but this is hard. It's hard as rock. So I just got a little hacksaw blade. That's all I got. Okay, and that's all you need to cut that. So, and they have other things you can use to cut it with. You know, that's just what I'm using. And I figure I might as well cut it fairly close to where it was before, where it was leaking. I'm going to cut it short later, because I could have snipped it off here, wherever, had I not been able to get it next to this root. And this is drip irrigation. It's the drippers are off right now. It's still on a timer. It's going to go back on tonight or tomorrow morning, and I could have turned that off, and after I get done with the entire repair I can turn it on manually to check it. It's bending my blade, so I got to lift up on the pipe so I don't snag it like that. Come on. Good grief. I use this hacksaw for quite a few different things. And I think it's getting dull. Okay, there. I think it's getting dull. But now I'm just going to rearrange things. Let's see if I can't get you over here to where you can see this whole thing, what I'm going to do. I'm not doing anything hard. You can do this. You don't have to pay your landscaper to do it or anything. You can be the landscaper. You can decide what to do. Okay? All right. Like I say, these drippers may or may not be in the right location for later on down the road. I'm just not going to worry about it right now, am I? I'm just not going to worry about it just yet. This one could be slightly tricky. I was hoping not to have to cut any of these. Okay, how can I do this? Dabbity nabbit, look at that. I snapped this one off. Shoot. That's the last thing you want to do too. But fortunately for me, it's right here, so it's only this far. That means this last section I'm going to have to cut off. I'm going to have to cut off because I won't be able to get that out, and that little piece of the coupling that snapped off is still in that pipe. You see what I mean? So that's because these pipes are really brittle too, and so in a sense, these other two, I don't really care if they snap off or not. I could pull them out. Maybe I'll pull them out with a pair of pliers. That's what I'll do. And then I can reuse those later. Okay? Just doing it to save those couplings, because I have to cut it at least that far, so I have to do away with these, and I'll have to re-poke them later. See, I was able to save that one, that little nib. You see how that part fits in the pipe? See how it looks like that? That snapped off that other one, so I have to pull these off. Here's the one that snapped off. I should have been more careful. See? It snapped off, and that's going to be caught back inside of there. I would have had to have cut something off anyways, somewhere, because this pipe is going to be way too long now, right? And so it would have either been pull these off, pull those off, or pull this one off, you see? Because once I get this ready to go back, let's see if I can get this out of here. This should be okay. I just didn't want to cut off any more roots, you know? You'll still be able to work with this. This is still pliable enough. You see, before I work on this, I'm going to dig all of this stuff out, pick up sticks galore, and cut channels, dig channels, find out where the roots are. There's big roots just below the ground and stuff before I put this down, okay? But see, when I reconnect it, I'm going to reconnect it in here somewhere. And so here's the piece that snapped off was right in here somewhere. Yeah, right there. See? And so when I cut that off, I'm going to have to cut it way back, right? But just to show you, let me cut that off. I'm going to cut it off right beyond, so I can kind of show you that little bit right there. I'm using the sharper part of the blade. You'll get it. I just wanted to show you this bit. You see that little bit in there? It's still in there. So if you follow this along, had I have kept that down there and thought, oh, I'll just take my little special tool and poke a hole in there, clean that out, and then put another coupling in there and reuse that same piece, let's say, that snapped off. This little thing right here, I would push that right into the pipe, right? And if I push that into the pipe, you're going to have this little thing right there floating around inside your line, and now it's going to go float down. It's going to find a place. Maybe it goes through one of the 1/4-inch tubes and blocks up one of the bubblers. Which bubbler is it going to be that it blocks up? Maybe none. Maybe I could get lucky and this could go all the way through until it hits the end of this main sprinkler line and get caught at the very end. But chances are I wouldn't get that lucky, would I? It would get blocked up in one of these. And so that's why this little section of pipe I'd have to cut out. And so see later on, and see, this stuff gets stiff. Mind you, this is 20 years old. It gets so stiff that if you try to turn it too much one way or another, you could put a kink in it. Once you put a kink in it, you're not going to get the full pressure flow through the pipe, right? And so, but you can still move this around. It's flexible enough. All right. Okay. So later, after I dig this, I'll have to make the determination of where this is going to go. And once I push this down here, I'll probably look at this, cut this one straight, and then cut this one back, and then have the coupling right in here. And see, it's gonna be about right in like that. See, and once I dig all these all this dirt down and get the roots down, then I'll be able to put the sprinkler pipe on top of that, and it'll still be underneath the ground a little bit. Okay, so I need to make sure I get the roots down deep enough, and I want them to get deep because I don't want the roots to keep growing sideways and then loosening up and getting underneath the walkway and start cracking that and lifting that up and all that. Do you see what I mean? And so I'll need to make sure over in there I dig those roots down, dig the dirt down deep enough to allow the roots to keep flowing in there. Because I mean, my word, look at all the roots to this tree. This is just this section of the tree, see? And when it tipped over before, it tipped that way, and this was all exposed. And so this side, the roots are growing back, and I'm hoping that they're going to go down. But all the sides and that side is still what's holding up this tree. I kind of like that tree. I want to save it, do the best I can. Okay, so because I'm doing all this landscaping work and stuff, hey, I'm going to spend the next hour or more digging this dirt deeper, finding the roots. First and foremost, I'll find the majority of the roots, and before I start covering them, I'll show you what I'm talking about. Okie dokie. Hey, and when it comes to stuff like this, yeah, I'm not fancy or anything. I'm using my hammer, my little putty knife, a stiff one, rounded edges, and I've got just a little shovel. That's it, and my knee pad, of course. And I'll get this dug out in a jiff.